Home Affairs Minister Aaron Motsoaledi is tight-lipped on how the Bushiris managed to escape South Africa. He says the security cluster will issue a statement on that at a later stage, and he can't talk on their behalf. I spoke to him earlier.
Shahan, when I presented to Parliament, I told them straight that the security cluster, the ACPS cluster, Justice, Crime Prevention and Security Cluster, has met yesterday, and we agreed that we are not yet in a position to release the final report to the public or to Parliament. But I went to the Portfolio Committee to speak on behalf of Home Affairs only and tell them the situation from the side of Home Affairs, because we are not the only ones who are involved in the issue of Bushiri.
But do we know at this point, because I know you were saying that we haven't established yet how they escaped the country, is there any indication in terms of Home Affairs controls and measures that you have in place at our borders that they could have gotten out that way on land?
But I'm asking you and requesting that please don't let me go there, because even in Parliament, my preamble was to tell them that I'm here just to report on the side of Home Affairs. The issue of Bushiri, his running away, is an issue of the whole cluster. And the cluster is co-chaired by the Minister of Defense and the Minister of Police. I would like to talk on their behalf on that score, so please forgive me for that one.
So what can you tell us then, Minister? Because you agreed to do this interview, so I was hoping you had some information that you could give South Africans.
But Shahan, you are being very unfair.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
No, do you want me to give you the whole presentation I gave to Parliament?
I want to know, and South Africans want to know, how these two alleged criminals escaped our borders. And you are the Minister of Home Affairs.
Yes, but I'm informing you, the issue of running away and crossing the borders is not the issue of Home Affairs only. It's an issue of the whole JCPS cluster. And the JCPS cluster met and said for now they are not releasing any report. And I am going to only answer questions to deal with Home Affairs alone, not in conjunction with the others. So I've asked you to pardon me about that, please.
Well, Motsoaledi appeared before a parliamentary committee this morning to explain what his department knows so far. He says that it's not to blame for the escape of the Bushiris. Lindsay Dentlinger following this one for us. Lindsay, I'm hoping the minister had more to say to Parliament on this issue.
No, he didn't really, Shahan. Well, at least he couldn't answer that question as to how did the Bushiris leave South Africa. As you pointed out there, he says it's not just for his department to explain, because really the Bushiris, once they were granted bail, they're not the responsibility of his department. The Home Affairs Minister could provide details to Parliament about the fact that the Bushiris have 5 passports each. None of those passports, he said, are South African, all issued in Malawi. He could also provide some details with regard to when the Bushiris first arrived in South Africa, and according to monitoring systems, they last entered South Africa in January 2019. But the minister said quite unequivocally that they didn't leave via one of South Africa's border posts where they could be picked up by the movement control system, and also very adamant that he did not leave with that Malawian presidential delegation which was in the country last week, saying that that aircraft was searched twice, once at the Waterkloof Air Base and a second time at OR Tambo International Airport, and gave Parliament the assurance that the Bushiris were definitely not on board either of those flights. We also don't know how the Bushiris arrived in Malawi, through what border they might have used to get through Malawi, but the minister also saying that he had taken the liberty of checking with Lesotho, for example, and also quite satisfied that they didn't leave via that channel, because any plane that was chartered via Lesotho would have to first land in South Africa before it could fly onward. So the minister really not having a definitive answer of how the Bushiris left the country, but let's take a listen to what he was able to tell the committee.
The matter of Bushiri, Chairperson, is not solely a matter of Home Affairs, as many people have been saying ever since the saga began. The whole security cluster, the JCPS cluster, Justice, Crime Prevention, and security cluster are involved in it, which means it's the Home Affairs Department, the Department of Justice, South African Police Services, together with their branch, the Hawks, the Minister of State Security, the Minister of Defense, and the Minister of International Development and Cooperation, DERCO. All those clusters and ministers are involved in this matter of Bushiri. So any report that will come to Parliament will come through that cluster. And coincidentally, for the whole morning yesterday, the ministers of the cluster met, and they also met with their technical teams. And they are going to prepare a comprehensive report that involves everybody. That is the one that will come to Parliament and also to this committee.
And what was the response to the minister's explanation, Lindsay?
Shahan, you can imagine how outraged they are that there are no definitive answers as to how the Bushiris left the country. They say we've been made the laughing stock of the country, and that this has been a national embarrassment not to even know that the man has left the country until you see his Facebook press conference that he's holding in Malawi. So you can imagine how outraged they are. There have been calls also for the video footage of Waterkloof Air Force Base while that presidential delegation was on the tarmac there. MPs not simply accepting the minister's explanation that the plane was thoroughly searched twice. They want to see the footage. The minister saying that really wasn't his purview, that the Waterkloof Air Force Base is a national key point, and so permissions will obviously have to be obtained. But the committee resolving that it wants more detailed explanations and a more detailed report on exactly what transpired, and also asking for that footage. So this is clearly not the end of it as far as Parliament's concerned. Many more questions put to the minister, which time did not allow for him to answer, including how it was possible that Home Affairs weren't keeping on their radar the fact that the Bushiri's children appear to have left the country ahead of their parents.
All right, we're going to leave it right there. Lindsay Detlinger is in Cape Town.